Hey, it's Tuesday. What's on Tuesday? Oh, wait, I'm late to the party. It's Shop Talk Tuesday. Oh, yeah, a little bit delayed today. So if you're watching this replay, it probably doesn't matter to you at all. But if you're an afternoon watcher or whatever this time slot watcher, probably hits you a little bit better. Hey, welcome. This is Noah Guy Bicycles. This is my Shop Talk Tuesday. So welcome, and if those who are consistently watching at 10 o'clock my time, I do apologize. I had some extracurricular activities this morning. In other words, we'll go into that a little bit later because that kind of alludes to what the season is like for sure. So yeah, gonna have to do a little tinkering while we're jibber jabbering because hey, it's June, and as the title pretty much says it all, I'm busy, and I have to pretty much capitalize on every hour of the day to keep all my community people happy and rolling on their bikes. Yeah, so it's been a really good ride so far for I know I got bicycles this season due to the fact that, hey, you are watching me here on social media. In other words, that's doing really well. But actually, the actual local community that I serve is doing really good. People are out riding. The weather's been a little bit nicer for us. Activities are coming up or events are coming up here at the end of June into July. So that's going to be really kick off the season of a lot of good riding. And if you start hearing some weird noises, there is apparently a big thunderstorm heading our way, according to my wife. So you might be hearing some background sound of hard rain, hopefully not hail. But in any case, today is not a good day to ride so much in Colorado because it's a little bit cooler. It was a little bit nicer earlier as in temperature wise, but not very much sun. So it's a good day to get in the garage and start tinkering on some stuff for sure. Again, if you just joined us, it is Tuesday afternoon special edition of Shop Talk Tuesday Live. So a couple things I want to hit upon. Well, number one is like what I'm going to be working on this week or what I have been working on. I've been doing a lot of more service and kind of recap on last week's topic, which is basically what's the Colorado market of bike shops and how are they navigating this new norm of inconsistent, paralyzing, whatever you want to call it. People are still out there riding bikes, may not be necessarily buying bikes and not necessarily buying a lot of used bikes, because the used market, what I've noticed, and I keep track of this quite on point. Reason being, that's the basis of my business is basically looking at used bikes and taking advantage of any opportunities that may come up to, basic business 101. Buy low, sell high. Well, sell least, at least get your money back out of it. In any case, or your time, in my case, time and money. But anyway, if you're in the neck of the woods and you're doing something similar, you're going to be always looking at the Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, possibly eBay, and some other platforms to identify bikes that you might be interested in purchasing and working on that kind of thing. That's basically how my business rolls. I don't do a lot of walk-ins because I'm a garage-based business that's all appointment-based as well. Therefore, that kind of makes it a little difficult for people just to roll up with their bikes like, hey, will you buy these? Which also, I'm a one-man band person, so therefore I can't be constant interruptions like that. Plus, it's also my house. So in any case, I usually look for bikes versus having bikes come to me. I tried for a little bit to have it on my website, I buy bikes kind of thing right during the COVID piece, but that got really tricky, and I'm in a situation where I really have specific bikes that I'm looking to buy, and I don't want to tie up any capital on bikes that I know are just going to sit there stagnant. Case in point, the market in the used market in my neck of the woods, although we do have a big market, several millions of people living in the Front Range of Colorado, big cities and metro area, huge cycling communities here. Therefore, there's a lot of used bikes. Long story short, some areas not so much. For example, I travel to Las Vegas periodically, and therefore it's a smaller city, and their used market is a fraction of what it is here as an availability. Therefore, I'm keeping also an eye and a pulse of my market all the time. Okay, long-winded answer, meaning I've seen a lot of bikes that I save to look at and see if the prices go down, which a lot of them have gone down, and how long they stay on the market as Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. A long time. Unless it's like super low ball price, then they're just clearing it out of their garage. Those still hot purchases are still out there periodically, but when you're looking at the basically overall consensus of the used market, bikes are staying on the market a lot longer, and therefore the prices have been driven down quite a bit. So you'd think, as for me, my business mainly is selling used bikes, would be hindered by this in a way. I had a video a couple weeks ago about basically a chop shop. Basically, you're selling the frames and parts and so forth. You make more money doing that in this particular market than selling the full complete bike. That is definitely the case at hand. I've sold several frames recently and several parts, recovered my costs, and all the leftover parts that I still have, like shifters, derailleurs, maybe some brakes, various other bits, seats or bars or whatever that has a market value in my area or even on eBay, as well as my website selling it. Those have actually been moving. Those have actually been selling. So keep that in mind. So your consumables, derailleurs, brakes, wheel sets, tires, tubes, and cables and all that for other bike shops, chains as well, those have been selling. As in full bikes, they've been sitting there for way longer than I could support investing more money into. Therefore, bike shops that are selling complete bikes are not as busy. They're not pushing a lot of units, even though I did sell a few units, but they usually sit on the market a heck of a lot longer. And when you're looking at Business 101, you need to have a certain amount of turns in the year for the bike part selling to be even feasible. Therefore, parting a bike out. So guess what I was doing? I'm out and about this morning, opportunity to pick up a couple bikes. And we'll show off those gym features. You're going to be amazed what I got for what kind of price. This is definitely going to be a show and tell, but we'll go with that in a little bit. This will be a little bit of a shorter show. I typically roll about 2 hours. I have about an hour to commit to this today. Again, it's June and I'm busy, and I got repairs coming out of my ears. I have bikes that I need to refurbish and list and parts and so forth, and I got a library of raw video that I need to edit to make more shows. But anyway, that portion could be pushed back a little bit because, as in the state right now, a paying customer takes priority. Number one right now in this particular economical situation, because if they're willing to have me work on their bike or pay me for a service today, everything else gets pushed back. So that's not currently making me money instantly. So that's going to be every bike shop you walk into pretty much in the United States currently. If you're watching this from outside of the borders of the United States, number one, sorry. Number two, it's a hot freaking mess here, and we're all trying to do our best to figure it out. And a lot of us feel really bad that's what's happening to everybody else. We will eventually fix this, but it's going to take time. In any case, our economical situation with our companies like Trek and Specialized, and also other companies that directly sell only into the United States, all this thing has been basically the word of the month is paralyzed. They're just basically paralyzed. I mean, they just can't really make any decisions doing anything. Therefore, it's affecting the market, which is affecting pretty much everybody's job security. Therefore, it's affecting people buying stuff, big ticket items specifically. Hey, Joe, thanks for chiming in. I know it's a little bit later. Usually, hang out. Oh, you thought you missed it today? Uh, oh, I just started. I had to push it to 1 o'clock my time, which is basically 3 hours later, because I was on the road driving around Boulder and Louisville and Lafayette, something like that. Basically, those are the suburbs around Boulder. That's where a lot of people live. As you ever heard, Boulder, people that work in Boulder don't live in Boulder because Boulder is too expensive. Therefore, Louisville is a huge place, North Denver. Actually, where I live, even though it's an hour drive, there's several people that live here that work in Boulder, but they usually have split time, so they don't have to work there every day. So they can work at home a little bit. And that's a lot of tech jobs in Boulder too, as well as obviously the CU Boulder College as well. In any case, I was, opportunity. They're like, oh, I'm only available at 9 o'clock in Boulder. So I'm driving my happy butt over to Boulder to grab this one bike. Then I'm like, ooh, well, what else is in the neighborhood? Because, if I'm taking the trip, what else is very tantalizing to perceive to purchase? And I found two other very, very nice gyms. And they'll be featured individually in separate videos, but you'll be definitely get a teaser on this today. But so back to the topic of bike shop chaos. Walk in the REI to go look for some parts on the way back and crickets. But then again, it is a Tuesday afternoon. Probably not going to see too much activity in the stores until the evenings and so forth. But talking to a lot of other people in the industry and shops and local as well, it's been pretty quiet on the bike sale front. Some of the corporate stores, the service side has been pretty quiet too. Therefore, they're kind of squeaking a little bit because the numbers are not supporting the actual the running of the businesses. So if it's corporate, they have multiple locations and shell around and they borrow money. If you're an independent bike shop, you are basically panicking, or you really are shifting into a lot of service and trying to do as much as you can, as fast as you can, and try to sell those consumables, even though they may have increased in price, like chains, tires, tubes, and so forth. We're still going to need them, still going to have to use them. Hopefully some shops have leveraged more of the used market if they need to get derailleurs and parts like that to get some of their bikes on the road. Either they're refurbishing to resell for the used fleet, or for people that are working on bikes that are or bikes that are older that are coming in and they don't have exactly the same matchy match part, or they can get matchy match parts. I mean, eBay is a great place to get that. I know, necessary evil. I mean, they charge a ton, and a lot of people don't like eBay, but there is a couple businesses that's all they do is provide refurbished parts, and you can find that 20, 30-year-old derailleur that match the bike that you're working on, that kind of thing. So in any case, it is definitely something that could be leveraged in a positive manner. So there alludes to the actual video that I did last weekend. Basically, as in trying to reevaluate my services, I came up with a service package, and you think, oh, all these tune-up packages. Well, this is more of a new bike, new ride package, and I've had a couple people have gone through the shop, and I've done the actual service work to it and charging. So I'm starting to get my teeth cutting on it a little bit. And what it is, to kind of recap, if you didn't see the video on Sunday, is there's three basic big pieces of this new service, and it's for new bikes, believe it or not. I usually do all used and so forth, but this is a used bike mechanic providing a new bike service. You're like, what are you doing? This is crazy. Well, hang with me here for a second. I'll give you a little bit of insight. Being in the industry for 35 years, coming from a mom and pop shop, Parker Bikes, and what we did back then and what they do today in shops is completely different kind of ecosystem. Some things do resonate to be the same over the test of time, but no. So this is kind of giving back and actually adding new service available to what's not currently out there. So let's take an example of your corporate bike shop. It could be an REI, Trek store, Specialized store, what have you. And they, I worked at Big Five Sporting Goods, where I understand the corporate Kool-Aid. It's kind of like they want to do some changes, but they got to consider all the locations being changed. They may select a few to do a test run, but it's a slow turn, and that usually bites them in the butt, because when you have a smaller shop, and if you take advantage of those micro burst opportunities of changing a market, therefore that's how a lot of us have stayed alive. Case in point, we're doing a lot of service. But looking at a lot of the new bikes, okay, and there's two perspectives of this, and I kind of hit it on the video, but there's really, the one's going to help the other out more than the other. Well, I didn't even say that right, but in any case, so you have one perspective, is somebody going to a corporate store, buying a bike, and walking out with it. And then you have another perspective of a customer buying a bike that's being directly shipped to their house, and they put it together themselves and they go for a ride. This package applies to both scenarios. What it is within 100 miles, within that first 100 miles of riding, you might want to have this particular service done, or before you even start riding, probably even better. Well, what it is you got three things. And one is not very much of a norm within the cycle industry yet. It is huge within the automotive industry. It's basically detailing and ceramic coatings. If you watch any of my videos, you know I do some detailing and I do ceramic coating on paint and so forth to refurbish those bikes. Well, this is going to translate to this package as one of the three things, which is when you have like a car, if it's new, it's a lot easier to do a quick cleaning, and the prep work for ceramic coating is minimized by a lot, because there's a lot of extra polishes and buffing pads and so forth on a current bike and car to get to be corrected paint and ready to go to have that ceramic coating. What's so cool about ceramic coating? Well, the ceramic coating adds UV protection, number one. So if you have some fancy paint jobs with a lot of crazy colors, and also lithium is the other one I use. This is ceramic slam. I actually kind of like the application of the lithium a little bit better. Or yeah, the ceramic slam from lithium. They're also, the product's made in Salt Lake City, I think. The company's in Salt Lake City. So in any case, tapping of hard rain. So here in the background, that's what's happening. I'm fine. I'm in a safe place. Maybe. We're supposed to see some hail too. And my wife, she's a atmospheric scientist, so she's going to be running around crazy watching stuff. Ooh, we got hail right off the bat. Oh boy. Going to be some claims later today, people. Yeah, so ceramic coating is something that we're going to as a feature and so forth. Whoa, that's crazy. In any case, sorry for the distraction here. I might have to show this. Hold on. Well, slight delay here because we are getting pea-sized hail. So this reminds to a lot of you, if you're into cycling and so forth, you've got to pay attention to the weather, because something like this can really roll up on you while you're out there, and it's going to be really hard to seek shelter. So always keep that in mind when you're out for 10, 20, 30, 40-mile rides. Weather is key. Here in Colorado, we get storms like this that are commonly with lightning strikes. and therefore that's very unsafe to ride in as well. So looking at this pea-sized hail that is hitting, that's my wife and daughter around the corner there observing as well. This is something you do not want to be caught while you're riding. Well, what you do when you're riding in weather events like this, you seek shelter as fast as you can, and you wait it out. And waiting out, you want to take when the storm does roll through, you want to make sure you're extra precautious about it because lightning strikes can arc a pretty far distance. We've had several people killed on golf courses that the storm didn't even seem to be that close to them, but yet they got toasted. So in any case, that's what we're looking at. Oh, okay, we're softening up to regular rain versus hail. So there, oh, better turn off the sprinkler system. Well, there we have it. All right, back to case in point, if I'm not too distracted by rolling thunder. So the first part of the actual part of the package is doing a nice ceramic coating. And the ceramic coating, what it's going to do for you is going to protect that paint. And just like this, as the storm is actually hitting, the paint is actually going to have like a little higher bead concentrate of tightening up the water and dirt that's usually captured with that, right? And when you go to clean the bike off, it's going to shed off a lot easier. Yeah, so, Randy, you're not too late. You pretty much just started at the top of the hour. But yeah, it's one of those things that'll protect your frame. And I just don't do it to the frame. So if you're a bike shop and you're thinking about doing the ceramic service, Muck-Off has ceramic coatings and so forth. And I don't know what quality, I haven't really, I'm not really a tester per se, so I can't really tell you what is better than the other. But I just know those companies within the automotive industry is really formulated and really fine-tuned their products. So kind of have to lean on that one for better products and that kind of thing. But in any case, that's the one first part of that tune-up, or not tune-up, but that new bike package. The second one is your wax chains, like you're waxing the the drivetrain and so forth. That's the latest and greatest from Silica and some other brands have taken wax. Well, if you really think about it, a lot of the bike chains that are out of the box, literally, that are brand new, like this, have a grease on them. The grease is really a packing prevention from rust and all that kinds of stuff. So it's really to protect that chain from the manufacturer to the bike shop or to your house. It's not a great performance lube. And a lot of times you got to strip that off to actually apply a lube that's going to work for you. So therefore, if it's a brand new bike, it's a lot easier. The drivetrain is still fairly clean, so you don't have to strip the whole drivetrain. All I have to do is take the chain off and have it waxed. Therefore, you get that performance factor of wax. Or if you don't want hot wax treatment, just have it returned to you dry. Then you can apply whatever high performance lube that you want to put on there yourself. So that's definitely a benefit, and that's going to be a better performance for your new ride. So it's going to shift smoother, be more durable, protect those parts, and you get those performance factors. Well, Silica has some claims saying once you wax the chain, you get 2 watts of energy into your drivetrain. I'm thinking if you just strip the old sticky stuff off the old chain or the new chain, that's probably just going to increase your performance there. So you go into the wax chain, that's the other great thing to help enhance that ride. And the third but not last, but most importantly, is fit. A lot of the bikes now, so I'm going to have to close the door now because it's starting to shift and starting to blow in the garage. So fit. Everybody's talked about fit. That's the number one thing. When you research bikes that you're going to buy for yourself and ride, or if you walk into a showroom or whatever, you want to make sure you get the correct size bike. That is going to give you the best experience possible out of the gate, that kind of riding, or any kind of riding. So So with that being said, fit is number one. So if you're looking at used bikes or even a new bike that's on sale and so forth, if it's not the right size, it doesn't matter. Now it's spraying the top of my door now. I'm glad I closed it. Anyway, it sounds like it's rolling like, you know, a train outside. That's what it sounds like. In any case, so another thing you got to watch out for Colorado weather is the back end of the storm is usually when you have the heaviest hail or hardest rain. So right at the tail end, it always leaves a good punch. So that's what I'm going to be watching out for. And this is shift, and we're going back to pea-size hail. But in any case, so fit is foremost the best thing. Very entertaining live today. We got a weather event going on. If you're just joining us and you're like, what the hell is he talking about? We just have a massive storm that's just hitting us right now. So it has a combination of pea-size hail, hard rain. The sidewalk is basically flooded over right now. And yeah, it's some other of a storm. In any case, so back to that package, you know, so you know, a lot of shops on the wayside have stopped giving away fitting. And I'm not saying they need to do a full fit, but I do say that they need to do something versus rolling out that $5,000, $4,000, even a $2,000 bike and say, oh, here you go, and not do anything to give them the best experience possible. There's been a few shops that have chimed in. It's like, oh yeah, we do static or free fit with every bike that we sell, which is freaking awesome because that is pretty much gone in a lot of shops, especially corporate. So when you roll into REI or a check store or a specialized store, if they have a fitting service, it's going to be something that they're going to try to sell you versus being included in the purchase of the bike. Well, my package, yes, you know, I don't sell used bikes, but I do include a static fit for every service bike that I do work on, because most of the time those people have never been fitted to a bike at all. And I have a lot of repeat customers, so I don't have to fit them on every bike each time because I've already fitted on them, unless it needs to be addressed some issues and so forth, which I'm more than happy to do a redo. Reason being is you want to make sure they're having a great time on that bike, because the more they ride, the more they wear it out, the more service they're going to need, right? So it's just a win-win. That's how I look at it. And you know, that's where I apply that to every used bike I sold too, because majority of my customers are newbies. I mean, they're just getting back into it, or are not familiar with a road bike or whatever. So they do just some minor adjustments. And I'm not talking about whole swaps of bars and cranks and all that. I'm just saying just minor adjustments for seat height, saddle position, bar position. And if they do need to switch out a stem, I have a pile of stems we could try to tinker with and try out. Well, that being said, using that as a new bike tune-up, that is going to give the, you know, that new bike customer the best experience possible riding on their new ride that they pay a lot of money for. Yeah, it's going to pay a little extra, but for me, you're getting a ceramic coating and a wax chain, so you're getting some extra value out of it, as well as a nice fit. And some of those fits, I was thinking about that today, and I didn't include it in the video, is like 9 times out of 10, if somebody says a new ride to them, I'm showing how they shift their gears, going through how the shifting works and so forth. Even if people have been riding, if they switch to a different style from like a SRAM to a Shimano or whatever, they may need a little extra encouragement of what's the best gears to be in, how to shift, when to shift, and all those kinds of things. So it's just all these little gold nuggets that will enhance their ride to be better for them. So therefore, it's a win. In any case, I'm not really competing against the Trek stores, the specialized stores, or REI, or even Walmart, or any bike company is being shipped directly to their house, because they're not providing any of those services. They may do a wax chains, but they're not doing ceramic coatings. And this, you know, they're going to charge extra for the wax chain anyway, but they're not going to do those fits. And you know, if you have a bike that's directly shipped to you from like Canyon, what have you, which by the way, they're opening up a venture center or something in California. It's in the latest Brain article. So they're basically doing a retail store-ish. So apparently they have 2 planned in the United States. They may have them over Europe. I don't know. I really don't dig into that company too much. But yeah, I mean, I work on their bikes, which is fine. They're actually decent bikes, whatever. But that's the greatest case in point. You get a Canyon comes in, Yeah, they're really good at giving you a video, putting it together. But all those other little things for fitting, you kind of have to figure out on your own. And if you have a pretty paint job and you want to protect it and make it a little bit easier to clean, the ceramic coating is really a good thing to do it. And if you do it at the beginning, which you can do it yourself, it's not really that hard. But for a professional, taking stuff off and putting it back on and doing those adjustments, especially if you're cleaning the drive chain to add wax chain, it's kind of like a no-brainer. But in any case, that's something as a benefit. But wax chains, I mean, or just a clean drivetrain so you can actually apply that professional, high performance lubricant is, something you want to do. That's going to just make your drivetrain last a little bit longer. And they're also claiming that wax drivetrains using the wax, hot wax, helps or prevents the wearing out of parts like your cassette and chain rings and so forth. And if you're getting a higher end bike that has like Ultegra, Dura-Ace componentry on it, those bits are expensive to replace. So that's something to really consider on that too. So, so I'm thinking like, oh, well, this is kind of a great a great service for those who have bikes that just dropped at their front door or they went to pick it up. Sorry, ooh, out of nowhere. Or they just picked it up at the store. So anyway, so I figured that's a win-win. And here's the kicker for those bike shops, people that are watching this. You're basically acquiring more great customers that have nicer bikes that are going to need service. But you think about it in the car industry portion of it. You have your Nissan dealership and you have, your Fords and whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. So you buy your new car. Well, you're not going to go get your oil changes done at the car dealership. Most people won't because it's extremely more expensive, number one. And number two, it's usually not that convenient because you probably have a Jiffy Lube or something a lot closer to either your work or your home versus that car dealership that you looked for and priced down and all that stuff, whatever, however you do it. Well, the prices at those particular labor rates, basically at the corporate stores, are similar, kind of influx more expensive than a lot of independent bike shops. So therefore, the industry the cycling industry is kind of very following that because it was driven by the manufacturers to go that direction anyway. So, oh well, we're going to take your service. But in any case, and nor Trek nor Specialized have any kind of, they don't want to get into more service packages. They want to take the easy tune-ups and the easy, repairs, and then they have a service center to, upsell stuff, upsell on their new bikes, that kind of thing. That's how they're positioned. They're not a bike shop like myself where I'll look at an old bike and go, oh, that's classic. Let's get into this and let's figure it out and let's get you some new parts and so forth. I'm not really trying to upsell you. I'm trying to just, get it to working correctly and be the safest ride possible. So there's two different perspectives there. Well, if you're, buying a bike from, a new shop and you get my, upper level, enhancement tune-up for your new bike, you most likely are going to come to me first to have any additional work done. So I'm kind of stealing their aftermarket services, which they don't really provide very much. But they don't do the free tune-ups anymore, I don't think, that kind of thing. So they're not cultivating that customer base to return. They just want to sell new stuff, volume. That's always what they've been wanting to do ever anyway. So I'm not here to tell them not to do it. I'm telling them I'm going to do something that enhances their customer, but with their new products, but I'm going to give them the best experience possible, more so than just giving them the bike and taking their credit card, which, I like taking money, but, I like my cycling community too. Let's see here. My old man eyes. See you guys are chiming in. Oh yeah, you're not late, Randy. Thanks for joining in. I'm the one that's late. So yeah, I should probably jump into my finds of my local market. No, it's not this Trek SL, but I will talk about this one first though. This guy right here. This is my neighbor's buddy's bike. Long story short, this particular individual rides a lot. He's the one that got my neighbor really into cycling, road riding specifically. So he's been an avid cyclist for a long time. Lives in Denver, which is pretty far away. Had this bike serviced at a shop that's, known shop in the Denver metro area and known for their service as well. And I'm not going to name the shop because I'm not going to really badmouth anybody. But this happens. You have a shop that has a lot of mechanics and they do a lot of volume repairs. Some things do get missed or skipped. Well, you got a whole bunch of parts, a lot of new parts on this thing. I got a bag of parts that was given to me that's like, this is what they all replaced. And it doesn't shift. And I don't like how it rides. I'm like, ooh. So, I'm trying to be very politically correct because I understand that shops get really busy. I understand that sometimes things get missed. I understand that the customer may have higher expectations than what's actually going to be happening, and that gets lost in translation in that scenario. And that's a bad pinch point to be in. Believe me, I've been there a lot of times. Oh my goodness, sorry, my team didn't take care of you. We failed, and we'll go forward, and hopefully we can keep you as a customer going forward. And coming from a mom and pop shop, for me, it's like every customer counted, and that's ingrained in me. I mean, even though I may not get along with the customer, I'm still going to treat them like they're the best thing ever because that's just how you do business. And especially in a small business when your lifeline and your family is on the line when you're doing this. So for this coming to me, and she's like, he was dissatisfied of what happened. And this is what happens a lot of times. If you already know, if you're in the shops, you already know this, because if a customer is dissatisfied of your work, you just won't see them again. And a lot of times they won't complain, they won't come back. Sometimes they will. They'll give you a try and try to get it to work correctly, but sometimes it's just you just never see them again. So that's you have a retention, you have a lost retention on that, and that's always going to be the case to whatever business you're in. Even the size of mine, I'm sure I've lost a few customers there along the way, but the thing is now that individual's feeling lost because they're like, I went to the shop. Been going to the shop and now it's not working out for me. Then I'm like, oh my God, a panic, especially if you're really into a sport or cycling where there's some technical aspect of it. There's some people that chime in and like, oh, just work on your bike yourself or whatever. A lot of people, some people, maybe not a lot, but enough, are not mechanically inclined to work on bikes and feel comfortable with it, in addition to time. Believe me, there's a lot of things I will pay extra for a service to be done for my house or any other thing other than bikes. Even though I can't do it myself, doesn't mean I'm going to do it myself. So they're going back to this customer, being kind of disheartened by the performance of the bike. And it could have been something really simple, like they did some part switching, there might have been a minor adjustment that needed to be done to make it shift a little bit smoother, that kind of thing. I don't know yet. It's just now returned to my stand. But now I'm kind of, I wouldn't say under the gun, but I'm like, I want to be in a position where I can kind of say something positive still about the shop that it came from and was worked on, and maybe something may have happened in the interim that was really nobody's fault, but yet I'm here to identify it and fix it so everybody kind of wins. Because it's a tricky position. I'm not the one that's going to go, hey, the shop screwed you over and sorry, I'm going to fix it and I'm going to charge you totally a lot more money now. So you already paid a whole bunch of money. I mean, come on. Chain, jockey wheels, brake pads, chain rings, new wheel. A shop of a bigger size, you're probably up to about close to $800 to $900 ticket already, right? I mean, that's not my rates usually, but most shops will be, that'll be the ticket that he paid. And so I'm doing my neighbor solid. It's a riding buddy, that kind of thing. So I'm going to give it the works. I'm going to go fine tune it, clean the frame, give it a ceramic coating, wax that chain, clean the drivetrain because it's been dirty, and then get some new tape because the tape's not right. I mean, it was like, I'm going to make this thing new showroom quality for this customer. Number one, that's how I roll. Number two, I'm not going to charge him hardly any because I knew he already had a huge deficit of trying to get it there. I'll charge him what about baseline, bare minimum, what I need to get out of it, especially just if I add more parts. But I want to get this person on a good, happy experience riding again. That's basically what I'm trying to do. And again, if I win him from this scenario, he's going to be a lifelong customer to me. And I'm going to always do that, try to go the extra mile on every bike I work on. That's why it takes me so damn long to work on bikes. It's not like I'm a volume repair. I did that before, and that's hard because the values of my style of working on bikes doesn't match up for high volume repairs. It just doesn't. Because I enjoy doing what I'm doing, and I enjoy having the customers having the best experience possible. And I really take it personally when something doesn't work correctly. Or it comes back like, oh, something went wrong. It's like, oh, was it me? Then I really do the diagnosing and breaking down and figuring that out. In any case, so that's one of the mini projects. I have also a tubeless. I got his tire went bad and try to do the tire swap, and it's a hot mess. So we have to get a new tire for him. And then what else I'm working on? Oh, I did another tune-up on another bike over there. Another touch-up, tune-up on a bike in the corner, which we'll pan over there in a minute, because that's where my hidden gems that I just purchased are over. And we will, without further ado, dive into that. So thinking about the current state of the state, and if you're a bike shop, bike mechanic, whoever's listening to this, and you're going, whoa, man, you just scared the pants off of me about like parts and stuff. It's one of those things. I did come across something really cool this week, though, before we go into the bikes. Electrical tape, right? Electrical tape. Electrical tape is pretty much a staple in every bike shop, and they use electrical tape for mostly bar wrapping, this stuff right here. And I had a customer, former racer. He raced when Le Mans was racing. He went over to Europe. He did the whole thing. Now he works here in Fort Collins. He does beekeeping. Really cool guy. I mean, top of line, specialized bike, Dura-Ace. He wears out parts, all that. And he had me rewrap his bars. And the electrical tape that it was used on there had like this, it felt good. I was like, what is this? And it's like, he went, it's, electrical tape. I'm like, but, he goes, it's not vinyl electrical tape. He had like a smile on his face. So he knew exactly where I was going. It was like, what are you getting? It's like, it's rubber-based electrical tape. And what this stuff is a little thicker, has a nicer feel to it. So when you replace it on this portion here, it has more of that professional touch, right? All those little things that adds up to make it super cool. So it took me a while to find it. This is from Scott, and it is the rubber, what do they call it? Space taping, and yeah, it's not cheap. It's like $12 a roll here in the U.S. I got it at Ace Hardware. It might be a little bit cheaper on Amazon. You might be able to find it, that kind of thing. Took me a little while to find it, and then also remember to look for it. That's two things. And another thing, it's like I'm doing the event. I'm going to do tools, some new stuff. So I did the event, was it last weekend? No, it was the weekend before that. Yeah, it was a training ride for high rollers for Bike MS, so it's a training ride. What I've been trying to do for the last couple of years is build up tool kits and stands, and not in my shop. Like, it's in my storage unit, or steward in my shed, where I just grab that stuff and put it in the car, and when I'm done, it goes right back to where it is. So I'm not stealing all my stuff here, which I've done years in past, and you spend all this time. So basically, it's designated tool sets and so forth that goes to the events. Well, one of the tools was angle cutters, right? I'm like, okay, you know, it's like I use these for zip ties and various other things. I don't use these to cut housing and so forth. I have the Parks and the Pedros that cut the housing. This is just really just for crimping stuff and cutting zip ties and so forth. And I have one, but I'm like, I need another one for the toolbox. I'm like, well, I'll get a nicer one and put this one into the toolbox, and you know, that's where all the old tools go to die, is into events toolboxes, if you've been around long enough as a shop. So this is kind of a nice little one, but I was looking for them, and you know, Park has one. It's like 25, 30 bucks, and Feedback Sports, they have tools, they have repair stands, but they have tools. Now one's on sale for 25 bucks. I'm like, this is for cutting zip ties. I mean, come on, maybe I'd not do that. You can have Harbor Freight. They have like for, you know, 5 bucks or whatever. Well, I was next to Ace Hardware, and that's where I found the rubber tape, and I was like, oh, they had a selection of angle cutters, right? And they had this set, and these are the Ace ones, Ace branded. And if you don't know Ace, you're listening from out of the United States or whatever. It's a hardware store, essentially, a chain here. They had a packet for $17, 18 bucks. So under like $7, $8 cheaper than the one. I get the crimper one. I get a couple different little needle nose style, straight needle nose, short needle nose with a cutter. And this is my favorite. And I've been thinking of getting one of those angled one, because you know those little tight corners you need to get to. There you go. 17 bucks, boom, it's gonna end up on tool wall. And before you know it, that little one goes into the toolbox that goes to the vent. Ha! The other tool that I just bought is not, it'll be shipped and get it tomorrow. It's basically, I will do a video on this one because it's a Derailer Hanger tool and it's not from Parks, Park Tools. So, and it's one you've probably seen if you looked one up on Amazon. It threads to here, and then you can do your measurements on how your hoods are. So I'm going to give that a try and do a little feature video on it once I get it. But I'm like, okay, because, you know, believe it or not, about pretty much every event that I've done so far in the last 2 years, a Derailer Hanger tool, alignment tool, it was been used a couple times because bikes get laid over, they get crunched up and transferred, or they have a little crash or what have you. That little Derailer Hanger, if you don't know what a Derailer Hanger is, Derailer Hanger is this little bit that holds onto your rear derailleur, and you see how it just kind of hangs out there, flapping in the wind. These things get knocked so easily out of whack, and just the minor angle adjustment or angle that's off will cause that shifting to go to total crap. So sometimes you just line that derailleur hanger back straight, and just, you know, a little bit. It gets that lines up with the shifting and so forth, and before you know it, that they're back on the road and they're happy campers. But yeah, so I'm like, instead of stealing my nice Park one, and I usually forget about it, ends up in the shed, so I'm like going back outside in the rain, as it's raining right now, getting that Derailer Hanger tool. So I'm like, okay, I need one to throw in the toolbox for my events. So I'm not dealing with it. So we're gonna give that a try. So those are the 3 things, like, that's like the last 3 things I kind of desperately need to get my kit. So doing this training ride for this event was a great kind of first day of the lake scenario for me to like figure out, oh, I need to get some of these and that and this, that for the big event, because it's a bigger event. It's not just a little training ride. I'm only out there for like 30 minutes working on people's bikes. The big event is a 2-day thing. I'm me and several buddies of mine are out working on bikes for about 5 to 6, sometimes 7 hours in the field, out literally sometimes in the field, in a field. Therefore, we have to be pretty much homed in on the right tools, supplies, and so forth to be able to do a MASH style rehab or MASH thing to get bikes back going, from minor adjustments, pumping up tires, to lubing chains and getting some major things we can do, but not a lot. It's just basically to keep you going. And I bought 2 more floor pumps. These little boogers, they take a lot of abuse. My 2 that I still have barely kind of work. I mean, they work for me in the shop, but I didn't feel comfortable enough. I believe I have a link, or not a link, but to Jenson's. I have a link to Jenson's USA. They have these surface pumps on sale for $24. And they go up to, well, it says 160 PSI. I've been using this for over a week and a half now. It's fine. It'd be a perfect little garage pump for anybody. And since I use mine daily, I'm definitely testing it out. And hey, for less than 25 bucks, you got yourself a pump, and get 2. I got 2. One for 2 of them for the event, and if they blow up during the event, okay, maybe not the greatest, but they they do press venturator valves and they'll work out fine. So yeah, that's the buy of the week for sure there. Lawrence, thanks you for joining. Oh, you just found my channel? Well, welcome. I'm glad the algorithm put you in, and put me out in front of you. Yeah, I don't know why I'm pushing my hand like that. It's just just air figuratively. Yeah, this is a nice Specialized. It's the SL4 Roubaix. It's close to their S-Works. I don't know, whatever. It's a few years older. It has 11-speed. Yeah, 11-speed Ultegra, so that dates it to 2010, 2012, somewhere around there. That kind of thing. So in any case, this is a fun one to work on, but that's not all. I got a whole bunch of fun stuff to work on. What is the recommendations of usable life of carbon? Well, scientifically, carbon has an infinite life cycle. Basically, they don't wear out, supposedly, according to their tests. They can get damaged, of course, but then they also can be repaired. So it's a pretty good material. It shouldn't be as expensive as it is because they have mass production on it now. But in the end of the day, though, it is a pretty good material. They can do a lot of different things with it to make it a more supple, softer ride. So yeah, it's pretty decent. I wouldn't shy away of buying I bought a ton of used carbon bikes to repurpose and sell. And they seem to hold up just fine. I'm not afraid of it, but you definitely want to inspect it, make sure there's no cracks or any kind of crashes or anything like that. But other than that, that goes with all bikes on that kind of thing. Technically, aluminum is a stiffer material, therefore stress cracks at some point will happen because eventually that flex will cause cracking within the welds itself or the material. Then there alludes steel. Oh, this is a good segue. Great segue what I got. Steel. Steel is, the fuel steel, the steel is real. There's a lot of hardliners, and steel frames have a huge resurgence coming lately of, it's a material they could really manipulate, maybe a little bit heavier, but it has a nice ride to it. And when I'm talking about like the Reynolds or the Columbus tubing or the True Temper, if you can find an older frame that has that. There's several other brands of chromoly tubing, that's steel, it gives you the stuff. I'm riding a True Temper pop rod cyclocross bike from Le Mans. I love it. My first experience with steel was Ritchie tubing, super lightweight. It was great, that kind of thing. Oh, you have a Y foil? Wow, that is amazing. I've been looking just to get one of those to feature on the channel. Those are a fun looking bike. They're always, when those came out, it was definitely space age. If anybody don't know what a Wi-foil is, just Google search Trek Wi-foil. You'll see this guitar looking thing, like what kind of guitar is that? Yeah, somebody chime in. Tell me what the guitar that is. The V-style guitars, like major rockers back in the day had those. Oh yeah, the Durace. So yeah, that would be the 9-speed Durace stuff on there. Nice. Yeah, it's those things will hold up. But yeah, I wouldn't worry about the carbon breaking down. It doesn't. Will not say that nothing's perfect. Eventually things do. But if it's built like some of the old, like the Trek Y-foil, as well as like the Trek OCLV, United States made frames, they overbuilt those to a sense where you usually don't have any major issues unless it's been crashed or damaged somehow indirectly. Wow, I got a lot of rolling thunder going on out there. Woo! Yeah. So that's a great segue into steel. Well, the poor person's steel is like your chromoly frames and so forth. And then you have where a lot of high-end steel is titanium. So one bike I'm featuring that I'm working on right now, and this has the tubeless tire, is this Lightspeed titanium. This is the early 90s, or late 90s, actually early 90s. Been updated with some Durace, or has Durace with nice cranks and so forth. Tubeless carbon, Reynolds carbon wheels. Different Reynolds company than your Reynolds tubing. Apparently, it's two different companies. It used to be one, but now they're not. This guy's a super avid rider. He's gone tubeless for his wheels, so I am get him back on track. We had a tire issue, so excuse my rearrangement, but this is how I'm going to feature these. So come with me in my little fancy corner. Yeah, this is my, eBay corner that I built up so I can do stuff. So here is a Lightspeed 61 centimeter titanium frame. I just did the ceramic coating on this, detailed it, cleaned it up. I have a short video of the bottom bracket. When I took out the bottom bracket, it was like all sorts of gunky in there. Clean that all out. It's ready to be built up for somebody who's ready to add their own mix of parts that they want, buy or new or whatever. So this is where I wouldn't say a chop shop, but it just sounds so negatively, but it is kind of like a refurbishing parts for upselling or uplifting, uplife, whatever. So the idea is, and this is kind of following a couple ideas, and this is going to be following into a project that I'm going to tease you about it, but it's a software program that we're going to be working on, case in point. But keep in mind, what the industry's kind of changed, and there's been a couple influxes of how businesses are working. I'm talking about like brands. Intense is one. You can read an article on Bicycle Retailer about how Intense is helping direct-to-consumer but bike shop sales. What they're doing is you can buy the bike from Intense, then they have a wholesaler called QBP, which has special parts kits built up for them for their bikes. So it's through their own portal, and then you can kind of custom build up your Intense frame mountain bike with whatever wheel set, crank, kit that then that it gets all ordered and gets shipped to your bike shop to assemble. So it helps the bike shop not to carry all this inventory. It helps the customer to customize exactly what they want, and there eludes a win-win for all. And then they sell frames, and QBP sells parts, and everybody's happy, right? Well, take it a step, pony up on that. There's an outfit in England. They're fitters, and I'll have to go look up his channel again. But they do fittings. Their business is fittings. But they're going to open up a bike shop business. And this bike shop business, they're getting a warehouse, or it's in the works. I don't think they're open yet. but essentially you'll be able to buy a frame. And the idea is to eliminate the pinch point. And that pinch point is when you buy a new bike, Trek, Specialized, Giant, off the showroom floor, and then you go see a professional fitter, and they're going to say, you don't need these parts. You don't need this. Your cranks are too long. You need shorter cranks. These bars are not right. You need these fancy carbon bars. So all of a sudden you're spending another $1,000 on the brand new bike that you just purchased to get it to fit you correctly. Okay, so fittings there's a lot of value to fittings. I'm not knocking that at all. If you have yourself fitted, and if you're an avid cyclist, you probably have, and you'll have those numbers, and then you'll be able to go to this company and go, hey, within your bike brands, or if you specifically want one of the specific brands of Lightspeed or whatever they're going to be carrying. I don't know whether they carry as bike brands of frames, but here's the kicker: is they will provide you ability of buying the kit for shifters and brakes and parts and wheels, and then the fitting pieces. So I need a 170 crank on that. I need a certain seat with a certain length of seat post. I need a certain length stem, and that's the brand stem I want. And that's the width of bars I want to go. All those fitting pieces you can customize. Yes, it's probably going to be a little bit more expensive, but it's going to be cheaper than buying a new bike and having all the other parts added to it, and then you have a bucket full of parts so you do not know what to do with. So you're getting the bike out of the gate, perfectly fitted bike for you. So this is nothing new. People have been doing this on the used market forever. Ever since eBay became a thing, this is what people have been doing. Well, even before that, back in even the 90s when they had Velo Swap and bike swaps and so forth, people would buy frame they think they fit some. It's okay, that's my size. I want that frame. Oh, I want that titanium frame. I want to ride titanium. It's like, I didn't want the parts that came on that titanium, which is 2 decades old. I want to I like riding campy, or I like riding SRAM, or whatever. So then you can buy those parts, new or used, and then they proceed to get wheels, and then proceed to get the bars and the stem and the seat posts and the saddle. So basically just doing that in the used market. That's where eBay becomes a great place, because there's a huge volume of all those. Granted, you can get those from other places too, or you can mix it with new as well. Therefore, people like me that take bikes and shop them up provides a good frame for you to customize yourself. I have some parts that if you need, like, oh, I need a new crankset or a shorter crankset or whatever, I'm going to have some parts available. I always have had some parts available. But in this case, you can customize it and so forth and that kind of thing. There eludes my 2 recent purchases. So today I got a Dean Titanium. The Dean is actually built in Colorado, in New Watt, Colorado. Custom builder. This one was custom built for this guy. But they've been around for a long time. They've gotten a pretty strong name for themselves. So Dean Titanium, so I got that for a pretty good deal. Has great SRAM force with carbon crankset on there. A raw front wheel and mismatched back wheel. So I'll be selling the wheels individually, separately. So this is where you get in a case like it's not going to make economical sense for me as a business to fix that bike up and try to sell it for a certain amount, because I can make more money by just selling it for the parts, but I'm providing an opportunity for somebody to customize a build-up frame and also parts that they wanted to put on there themselves, or different types, whatever, that kind of thing. And the other one I got, being in the same neck of the neighborhood, I was able to pick up this other Lightspeed. So this was the original owner. This one was bought and sold a couple times. The Lightspeed Toremo, full Ultegra, Mavic steering wheels, excellent condition. Even the shifter covers are clean. So that particular bike, again, most likely is going to be, well, somebody comes into my garage and goes, hey, I want that, which that happens sometimes. Periodically, I'll have somebody come in and go, oh, what you working on? You know, they're like, is that my size? I'm like, uh-huh. And they're like, tell me when it's done. I want to write it. And that's happened several times. It's kind of funny how every bike has a place to go. Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those weird quinkadink. I call it a quinkadink. It's a little quinkadink thing. I'll be gifted tool or not. I've been gifted parts like, hey, I don't need these. Here, you want to take these? One time it was a brand new Shimano tricolored, early 90s, late 80s, early 90s rear derailleur short cage in the box. It's brand new. And it wasn't more than a week later, I had another bike coming for repair, and the rear derailleur was shot on it, the exact same derailleur. I went to the customer and was like, look what I got for you in the box. This has been sitting around shops and somebody's garage for the last 30 years waiting to be put on your bike. Like nuts, right? So things like that happen. It's just weird. So yeah, those are the two. The third one I have is tucked away over here. It's since I was in the neighborhood, did another, and this is an hour and a half hour drive for me down south. Got myself a Zurich Reynolds steel frame. Woo, lightning. So yes. So therefore, I had to do a little run. That's why Shop Talk Tuesday is a couple hours, 3 hours later than your typical run. But yeah, this is it, right? I mean, this is what's working in this market, hands down. Service, and you're trying to figure out whatever service. If you're a shop and you heard my new bike service package, whatever. And if you think cherry pick whatever works for you, for your market, that might be something, that might be a win-win for you and your customers, that kind of thing, just to keep them in. And then the used market there's a gold mine right now in the used market. I mean, the prices on these have dropped significantly. I'm not going to tell you exactly the price. You can probably try to look it up yourself if they're still posted, but it's less than $1,000 for a titanium bike. One of these is like, you don't really need to do anything on it. Just get on it and ride. I mean, it's in really good shape. Gonna look at some chitter chatter here. What we got going on? Ooh. Oh, love those light speed bikes. Yes, Lawrence, they are very nice. Well, the case in point, the guy that has the one I first showed here, doing the tubeless fix on the front wheel, he's been riding since the 90s. He rides the living hell out of this thing, and it's great. It holds up. I mean, it's one of those things that's going to last him forever. And he doesn't have. Funny thing is, as much as he rides, that is his only bike. I mean, you'd think he'd have like 18 different bikes. He did that probably at one point, but this is it. This is his go-to. Only thing he rides now. So yeah, absolutely. Okay, you lost your sound. Sorry, Brad. I hate when that happens. It's usually me when I hit a button or something. I am always paranoid that people could hear me, because if you don't hear me, you just see me. And that's just weird for everyone, right? Okay, I just faked that, so, don't think your speakers are all bad. Oh, Voodoo Cycles, yes. Thank you for chiming in. I mean, too bad I don't think they're around anymore, but Voodoo Cycles was one of those titanium companies in the 90s, early 2000s, I think, maybe just in the 90s. Had some pretty cool bikes. I mean, I just like the name Voodoo. I mean, it was like, that's so cool to be a Voodoo. You like a Voodoo, but you do so well. Yeah, it's just like one of those iconic brands. Dean is kind of like that. It's been around since the Coons age, forever. Lightspeed's been around for a long time, and their new stuff. Lightspeed does have actually a trade-in program, which is crazy. It doesn't matter the age. They'll put it to credit towards your new Lightspeed. And what's really kind of cool about it is they're not reselling those Lightspeeds. They're basically, well, what they are is they're donating them to a nonprofit in, I believe, DC or Atlanta. I think it's Atlanta. the article is in Bicycle Retailer, so you can probably Google it up. But it's a nonprofit. Believe it teaches kids how to work on bikes and so forth, that kind of thing. And the bikes the titanium bikes that are sold goes towards whatever. So they're donated, which is I thought it was really cool. So the customer gets a newer Lightspeed and get something for their old one, and they do a tax write-off, of course, donating it, and therefore provides an opportunity. It's like a give. It's like a win-win-win, and they feel so confident about their titanium frames of lasting. I don't think there was an age bracket on it. I mean, even this 35-year-old Lightspeed could be traded in for a newer one if they wanted. So yeah, it's a lot of cool stuff. I mean, and titanium always has had, I feel bad because the first titaniums I rode back in the day, in the 90s, we were given a couple to demo, a couple Serratas, and they were nice, but at the time, they felt whippy to me, like they had too much flex. But I didn't realize the comfort of it over long duration. I was a mountain biker at the time, so I was riding these road bikes, and for me, I didn't give it the proper reciprocation or really thought about, because now being older and I do more road riding, I could really appreciate that 40 to 50 mile distance going, yeah, my body doesn't hurt as bad on a titanium bike. And plus it's cool, and it doesn't rust, and it's just pretty. It's like some of these are just the craftsmanship of building these things up. And don't think that titanium is easy to build. It's not. Titanium has its own process, so it's not like a steel builder that's building a whole bunch of chromoly bikes is just going to throw in some titaniums. It's like a whole different mix of jigs and materials and techniques of putting these frames together. Therefore, a lot of the titanium bikes that you see that are mixed into some brands, okay, this is an interesting bit. There was Solvik in the 90s. They were a titanium frame builder in upper Northwest. I think it was either Washington or Oregon. And they white labeled a lot of the titanium bikes. Case in point, Gary Fisher bikes that are titanium in the 90s were built there. Bontrager in the 90s were built there, with a various other handful of smaller niche. They build their own steel bikes, but they had these guys build the titanium bikes. So therefore they had their own little facility. Also, what made titaniums very expensive back in the 80s and the 90s is we didn't have a very inexpensive source of titanium raw material. That mainly came from Russia. So they have a huge source of titanium. And now with open markets and so forth-ish, I think they get funneled through China or whatever. That material gets through and it's brought the prices down. But back then it was really hard to get a hold of that material. So that made it a lot more expensive. Now it's a little bit more or less expensive to make-ish. But you still have to have that high finite technical ability of welding up titanium. So when you're looking at Dean, for example, in Colorado that makes custom titanium frames, Black Sheep in Fort Collins is the same thing. You're really paying for that one-off or two-off or small run batch of high quality built titanium frame. So that's where the cost is kind of translated into, not necessarily the actual material costs. I mean, come on, with carbon bikes nowadays, with the mass production of them making carbon, they can probably make carbon cheaper than aluminum bikes, but they just don't charge for that because, whatever. It's all in the R&D. Sure, let's go with that. But anyway, so back to the steel, it has a flex to it. They can manipulate the tubing and so forth. Reynolds makes a titanium tubing, so you can have tubing made by titanium tubing there. That's where I was looking at a Le Mans bike, which was probably made other than even though it was under the Trek umbrella at the time. Pretty sure Trek didn't build these frames. I'm sure they had somebody else build the frames for them. And it has Reynolds titanium tubing. And the price is not too bad, but it has a mixed parts on it. I don't know. And I'm not sure it's quite my size, so I don't want to pay a little extra for something, you know. I'm looking for prices that what I got these at, just because if it doesn't work out, it just doesn't work out, and I'm not taking a loss because I'm a business at the end of the day. I mean, I got to keep that in mind for sure. But thanks, one day, for reminding me of Voodoo Cycles and going that along soapbox. But there was a few places that made titaniums, and then you know he had some places, for example, that are building bikes in Durango, I believe. I forget the name of the parent company, but one of the companies recently, is Waterford. Waterford closed and they reopened under a new owner, I think, or former old owner, or new owner, whatever. They're bringing back Waterford, but the frames are going to be built in Durango, which was the same place where they were building homegrown bikes back in the Schwinn era by the second or third owner of Schwinn, I think, which is interesting because Waterford used to be a Schwinn Paramount story saga on that. So there's a laundry history of all that. But in any case, yeah, steel has a huge history, and it's being revamped and brought back. Like being, you know, there's some really nice steel chromoly frames. Fairlight is the one I just featured in one of the video library. Check out that video. That bike is freaking phenomenal. I had John Bradley on with me to you know, discuss the details and so forth, because he has been in the industry of the manufacturing side of it. So therefore, he had a lot of insights. Tumbleweed is another off-brand that builds a nice steel venture gravel style bike. There's various other ones out there, which are really cool because they're just like small batch kind of thing, really high quality and so forth, put into it, either built here in the States or being built from small companies. Revell is another company they're interesting. They were Colorado based. They basically had to shut their doors. Their previous owner came back and bought it back. And now, so all their stuff is being built in Taiwan instead of building it and shipping it into the United States, sitting in a warehouse. Now it's direct to consumer from Taiwan, from their facility there to wherever. So they're not doing any of that, which makes kind of total sense. Like it's more direct to consumer kind of thing, which they were a direct to consumer style business anyway. Although they did sell to some bike shops. So their business plan has definitely changed, being under re-old ownership. Yeah, that's kind of like a common theme. I mean, Kona did it, and a couple other companies. Like, whoever company took over just drives them to the ground. Lo and behold, the original owners come back to save the day. Like, oh, guess we're no longer retiring. All right, what else? Lawrence, that's not to date myself, but I went to, you went to the Schwinn factory service training? Oh, that's in Ontario. Okay, interesting. My parents, they went to the actual Schwinn school in Chicago when we first opened the shop in '87. You had to go to Schwinn school, which basically, well, all I remember them telling me about is they basically had to rebuild a three-speed coaster brake hub. I was part of the class back, and then you became a Schwinn dealer. Then you get the banner and all these Schwinn things. Apparently, it is what it is back then. Kind of interesting. Oh, thanks, Rick, for chiming in. Appreciate it. Oh, man. Oh, you have a Le Mans, 2001 Le Mans titanium? Nice. Nice. Oh, upgraded, yeah. That's definitely an upgrade, a 9000 group set. Got those available back then. And zip wheels, those are nice. I've worked on several of those. You have a 1950s Schwinn and 60s. Yeah. Everybody has, we have a couple just grocery bikes too. They're the specialized rolls. So they're a little newer, of course, but they're nice to be able to, jump on and chase after the daughter when she's doing rides or whatever around the neighborhood or going to our local Walmart, which is basically a quarter-mile away. So do a lot of that kind of riding. So yeah, for my stable, I have a little mom and pop rod, which is a nice steel, True Temper. That was when they were using True Temper, and I'm assuming that's the frame that was built in Taiwan versus built in the United States, because the United States ones were using Reynolds, I think. Then I also have a Buenos Aires Le Mans, the full carbon, which was a year or two after that before Trek canned the line. But yeah, and I have that Zurich that I just brought. That's not my size. That's going to be something to be refurbishing. But I think it has good bones. The shifters are kind of ugly, but maybe I can get covers for those to get them up to par, working again, that kind of deal. So that's what we're kind of looking at. So this is my projects for this week. Got some tune-ups. People want to do some riding this weekend. The following week will be the preparing for the Bike MS here in Colorado. So I will be doing a Talk Shop Tuesday next Tuesday. And it'll be more like focus on what do you do when you get ready for a big event like this. I mean, I'm flying my son out. He's coming out. I'm got some other buddies who are going to be staying in my house. It's a bike shop weekend, fun guys, weekend. How we do this and our families get together and barbecue and whatever. So it's a fun thing. So yeah, absolutely. It's something we look forward to doing. We've been doing for years. And my family and I, of over 35 years now, almost 36 years of contributing and doing mechanical support of one way, fashion, or another for Bike MS in Colorado. So we've been a long time stable. And, over the years, it's just changed, a lot of different people that run it. But, the purpose and what you get out of it may have changed a little bit too, but at the end of the day, it's a very impactful thing for your community, for your cycling community, to those who have MS, to those who are riding for people for MS, and therefore organizations like that. And it doesn't have to be the Bike MS. There's like a diabetes rides, a children's rides. There's a ton of them out there. I'm sure there's something in your neck of the woods. Either just participate or volunteer. You'll get something out of it. I guarantee you. It's just one of those things that, and if you're a shop and you're like, I can't afford to have mechanics gone for a day or two in the busiest month of the year, which is June for us here in Colorado, it's almost to the point that you cannot not do it, because prelude to the actual event, when you get yourself involved enough within training rides and embedded with the community of that particular ride, you will definitely, it's more than just the right thing to do. It's actually, you're building up more of a cycling community for your own shop as well as yourself, and getting your name out there. Because basically, if you do it right, your investment and return on doing all the tune-ups and the training rides and all that pre of the event will pay 10 times full to what you'd be missing for that mechanic being gone for 1 day or 2 days. Guarantee you. That's where my dad saw the opportunity of this back in 1988. And my mom thought he was batshit crazy, because we just opened up the shop and did not know what the hell they were doing. And they were like, 7 months into opening a shop, and my dad's like, we're doing this. We got to do this. And that was a way for him to, get that community back then, because now, nowadays we have the internet and everything else in between. But back then, that's how you're able to cultivate that customer and get your brand out there. And it still is very vibrant and true today, and more grassroots like. Because back then, get this, as a bike shop, you used to have to pay to be a part of those events. Let that sink in. Now they could barely get people to come out to do work. You're not paying. Anyway, in any case, it was a huge win this year, because they were able to get every rest stop filled with mechanic support. which is, I don't know how long it's been since they've been able to do that, which is great. They said something that I helped out with that. I'm not sure exactly, but apparently getting the word out and like, hey, you got to do this. It's something. Also, I think it is part of our economical situation. A lot of bike shops, even corporate shops, are like, we need to do more stuff because they're just not coming in the door. Like, we can't expect that. It's not going to be expected this year. So we need to go out there and grab those customers and help them out. And hey, we're here. Please let us help you with your cycling experience. So there alludes that that's what's going to be going into next week. And then, the Tuesday after that will be the talk about what happened over the weekend and how crazy it was. Because here's a story. There's always stories. It's something. It's very uplifting, very emotional for me personally. Is definitely, it'll make you a better person. But you see some crazy stuff. It's nuts. Or experiences or whatever. It's fun. This is a great thing in any case. Oh, Steve, thanks for chiming in. The model of the Lightspeed, Teramo, it's Teramo. I'm not sure what it's named after, but that's the model of it. Obviously they have several different models over the years. Looking at the parts kit on that guy, has Ultegra. It's probably early 2000s before the switch to 10 speed. But in immaculate shape. I think it's like a 52-ish. I haven't sized it out yet. Ultegra triple with a Cerium Equip or Cerium. I think it's a Cerium Elites. Nope, Equip. Cerium Equip wheels, which they're actually pretty good. They're pretty solid, strong wheels on that. So yeah, that'll be a good one, and that Dean's would be a lot of fun to feature too. A lot of cool stuff with this thing within these frames, that kind of thing. In any case, I need to go do lunch, see if there's any damage to my car outside from the hail. Also, I need to pack and ship a frame. Talking about frames being sold. That one's for parts, but in any case, it still needs to be bubble wrapped and put in a box and get a label on it, get out the door. But yeah, I mean, that's a snapshot of what 2025 June looks like for a local small bike shop. We're busy, insanely busy, and we're trying to capitalize on all of it as much as possible, more so than years past, because winter's coming and we don't know how cold it will be. So even in a small business like ours, even though people are riding bikes now, that will be turned off, but will people be looking for off-season parts? Will they be looking for off-season service? Or will they be looking for off-season new bikes? As our economical state of the state that is paralyzed now in the United States, if you're looking from outside in, we cannot at all whatsoever count on it. So we got to do everything we can to drive excitement within the cycling community to generate revenue to keep our shops open. A lot of you might be venturing into the YouTube or social media to drive those sales, or different things like we did back in the 90s. We switched gears and rented snowboards and skis, or whatever you can do for the off season. That's if your off season is as drastic as ours is here. I mean, it's not affecting other countries as much yet, but I'm sure other countries are feeling this. So look to our friends down south, like South America or New Zealand or Australia. What are you guys doing right now to keep busy and generate, keep the lights on? Is it something we need to think about doing here when it's our turn to be cold as hell and nothing's coming in the door and nobody's buying anything because they're all either jobless or scared to lose their job, or the economy is not rebounded by then. It's tough. It's challenging. I don't want to leave this on a downer, but this is where we're going to be taking, if anybody's invested into the bike shop, like owners or people that really want to keep their jobs alive and thriving within the cycling world, we're doing everything we can to do so. So please, if you have any other insights of that industry type of enhancement of your shops, what's working for you guys or what's working in your communities for your shops that you go to that are doing some cool things, please bust down the comments below, share with this community. That's what I'm building. This is a community. And, bike shop owners to cyclists alike, I mean, we're all kind of in this together. And we're just, bike shop people we're cyclists too. We just have the ability of tinkering on them more than others. Or, we don't have a fancy degree like my wife does to lean on. But in any case, that's where we're at. So yeah, please share and please like, all those, beautiful things. I appreciate it. And thanks for hanging out with me. I got to tune off and tune out and tune up and do a lot of tuning. That's all I got to do. Thanks again for hanging out with me. Again, thank you so much. It makes you to make this community. So definitely thumbs up. It's nice in your neck of the woods. Please go for a ride. And hope you learned something new. And please share with the community below. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day. And man, I got a busy weekend ahead. We got a baseball game this weekend we're going to. All sorts of fun stuff. And yeah, just flavored water. I mean, it is afternoon. I'm very caffeinated, sensitive in afternoon. So I got to have my 5 hours of solid sleep before I get up in the morning and start this all over again at 5 a.m. Couple shout outs. Thank you, Randy, for chiming in. Appreciate you. Knowing your shop perspective in California it is, I believe. Lawrence, thank you for finding me. And I hope you enjoy my current content and also check out my older content too. Steve, thanks for chiming in as well. That was a good note on, or asking about the live speed. And Rick from Oregon, absolutely. Enjoy that, Lamont. Don't get rid of it. Hold on to it. Get buried with it when you pass. Joe, thank you for chiming in. Oh, the news. Oh yeah, I didn't get to that question. I'm sorry. I'm a mechanic. I can't read. No, I'm just kidding. I can't scroll well. And plus, I don't have my readers on. Damn, getting old. In any case, I haven't really looked into the newer SRAM. I've seen videos about it. I haven't watched the videos, just seen so I'll look into that. I really don't get that excited about new stuff too much, quite honestly, because usually the first new batch of stuff is kind of like your first fail points. But in any case, it might be something cool. Campanola with the 13 speeds, they're always the leader with the next speed, that kind of thing. I'll get around to it, but unfortunately, I'm usually working in the older realm of stuff, and I really don't research the new stuff unless it's like in my face and I have to work on it right then and there. Because I more rely on just, my muscle memory of working old stuff. Thanks for 1A for reminding me about Voodoo Cycles up there with Barracuda. That was in that vintage period too. Barracuda was a lot of fun. Brad, thank you for chiming in. Sorry you had some speaker issues. Hopefully my sound sounded pretty good. I try to turn up the volume through the application here. So hopefully I'm not sounding crackly, like it's too loud. Lawrence, thank you for reminding me about the Y-foils. They're, yeah, that's something crazy. Back in the day, I just remember those, the first prototypes of the 90s bike shows. I mean, it was like, ooh, space age, kind of cool. And they actually made it, which is nuts. Big chunk of carbon. Anyway, then they had the Y bikes, which look like the guitars too. I'm sure somebody made a guitar out of one. Joe, thank you for chiming in from our brother from the north. He's in Canada. He's probably enjoying his summer right now. I hope you get out there on the water too. He does paddles. He makes custom wood paddles. Check out his channel. It's really cool. Joe O's channel. Yeah, it's just old guy working on just tinkering in the garage. It's awesome. Workshop. It's great. Great. Well, thanks you all for hanging out. Sorry it was a little bit later. Hopefully we'll be more on time next week for sure. Because well, It is. It will be. In any case, thanks again for hanging out. And until we have a little bit nicer weather out there, we'll probably be riding tomorrow for sure. And let's see here. Oh, you have a backup. Yeah, that's interesting. Oh, sounds good. Okay. Yeah, that's one of the turnoffs on most people on here on YouTube. FYI, if you're doing a channel, is sound. They don't care about as much as graininess or bad editing or bad content, but if your sound's crap, that's the first thing they'll do is jump off. Anyway, thanks again for hanging out with me. And again, if it's wonderful in your neck of the woods, let's go for it. Yeah, new tools. I got to find a new place for this. Got a little handy rack and everything. Got a tubeless tire. Oh my goodness. Maybe I need to take a nap first to reset. Just kidding. Not so much. I really am not kidding. Anyway, thanks again. You guys have a wonderful day.